Imagine waking up to a headline that the backbone of America's heartland, the $174 billion farming industry, has been severed. That's the reality hitting farmers today. For decades, China has been America's largest buyer of soybeans, corn, and other staples, feeding a billion-dollar trade that kept rural economies thriving. But now, that lifeline is gone, and the fallout is just beginning. Why did China make this sudden move? What does it mean for American farmers, your grocery bill, and the future of food security? Let's dive into this unfolding crisis. What's happening? For generations, the vast American heartland has stood as a symbol of resilience. Its fields of golden corn and soybeans have fed families across the globe, powered industries, and propped up rural economies. At the heart of it all has been a robust trade partnership with China, but that partnership is now in tatters. The announcement came like a bolt of lightning. China, citing political tensions and economic strategy, has effectively shut down its reliance on American agricultural imports. The numbers are staggering. Nearly one-third of American farmers' income tied directly to Chinese demand has vanished overnight. For the families who've tilled these lands for generations, this is more than a trade dispute. It's a question of survival. The collapse of such a massive industry isn't just an economic statistic. It's a human tragedy. And here's the kicker. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The decisions made today could reshape global agriculture forever. But why would China, a key trading partner for decades, make such a drastic and disruptive decision? Why did China pull out? This isn't just a trade decision, it's a power play in a much larger geopolitical game. China's move to cut US agricultural imports didn't happen in a vacuum. Tensions between the US and China have been escalating for years. Trade wars, tariffs, and growing mistrust have transformed a mutually beneficial partnership into a simmering conflict. At its core, China's decision is about control. The country has been quietly diversifying its agricultural supply chain for years, turning to South America, especially Brazil and Argentina, for its soybeans and other staples. Why? It's a strategic move to reduce reliance on any single country, particularly one with which relations are increasingly volatile. This isn't just about economics, it's about food security. For China, the ability to feed its massive population is a critical priority. By shifting its supply chain, the country is insulating itself from potential disruptions and ensuring its stability. For the US, however, this shift feels like a sucker punch. But here's where it gets more alarming. China isn't just replacing US goods, it's actively reshaping the global agricultural market to leave America behind. So what does this mean for the farmers and communities left reeling from this decision? The immediate fallout. Across America's heartland, barns are full, bank accounts are empty, and uncertainty hangs in the air like a storm cloud. The economic impact has been swift and severe. Farmers are left with warehouses full of unsold crops, unable to find buyers to make up for the massive void left by China. Soybean prices, already precarious, have plummeted to levels that make breaking even impossible for many farmers. But the crisis doesn't stop at the farm. Equipment dealers are seeing their sales dry up as farmers hold on to aging tractors and machinery. Seed and fertilizer suppliers are struggling as orders dwindle. Even the small-town diners and cafes that were once bustling hubs of community life are eerily quiet, their tables empty as wallets tighten. The ripple effects are devastating. Schools that rely on property taxes from prosperous farms are preparing for budget cuts. Healthcare facilities, already scarce in rural areas, are bracing for reduced funding. It's not just an economic crisis, it's a social one. And then there's the emotional toll. For many farming families, this isn't just their livelihood, it's their heritage. Land that has been in the family for generations now feels like a burden, with some farmers facing the gut-wrenching decision to sell. But here's the real danger. This crisis isn't just economic or emotional, it's poised to change the very fabric of rural America. As communities grapple with these challenges, the political arena is heating up and the stakes are higher than ever. The political firestorm. This crisis has sparked a political showdown, and everyone, from the president to the farmers, is looking for someone to blame. The White House has been quick to respond. Former President Donald Trump has reignited his tough-on-China rhetoric, blaming the current administration for losing control of the trade relationship. In fiery speeches, he's called for aggressive measures to counteract China's actions, sparking debates on Capitol Hill. Trump's criticism resonates deeply with rural communities, many of whom feel abandoned as they struggle to keep their farms running. Meanwhile, lawmakers are divided. Some push for immediate federal aid to farmers, arguing that a bailout is necessary to keep the heartland afloat. Others see this as an opportunity to rethink America's agricultural policies, calling for less dependence on foreign markets and more investment in domestic resilience. This division has left crucial decisions in a political gridlock, exacerbating the uncertainty faced by farmers. But federal aid is a band-aid solution. For many farmers, the real question is, how did we become so dependent on a single trading partner? This crisis has exposed vulnerabilities that go beyond politics, raising questions about the long-term sustainability of the U.S. farming industry and its reliance on global trade dynamics. And here's where it gets even more complicated. This crisis isn't just about the US and China, it's about America's role in a rapidly changing global economy. While Washington debates and rural America reels, other countries are stepping in to fill the gap with remarkable speed, leveraging opportunities that could reshape international agriculture for decades to come. The rise of South America. While American farmers struggle to find buyers, Brazil and Argentina are seizing the opportunity of a lifetime. As the U.S. reels from China's sudden pivot, South America has stepped into the spotlight. Brazil, in particular, has emerged as the new agricultural powerhouse, rapidly ramping up production to meet China's growing demands. Over the past decade, Brazil has invested heavily in its agricultural infrastructure, from expansive farmland to cutting-edge logistics systems. The result, a supply chain that can deliver high volumes of soybeans and corn to China more reliably and often more cheaply than the U.S.'s Argentina, though facing its own economic struggles, has also been quick to capitalize. The fertile Pampas region has seen a surge in cultivation, with farmers there embracing modern farming techniques to increase yields and meet China's needs. For these countries, the shift isn't just a windfall, it's a strategic opportunity to cement their roles as global agricultural leaders. But this rapid rise isn't without consequences. Environmental costs, including deforestation in the Amazon, have raised alarms worldwide. As farmland expands, biodiversity shrinks, and the environmental toll of intensive agriculture grows. For countries like Brazil and Argentina, balancing this newfound economic opportunity with environmental responsibility will be a critical challenge. And here's the game changer. If South America secures these relationships, the US could lose its standing as a global agricultural leader forever. But why is South America so well positioned to replace the US in the first place? The technological divide. Technology has become the secret weapon in the global farming race, and America is falling behind. One of the key factors enabling South America's rapid rise is its embrace of advanced agricultural technology. Farmers in Brazil and Argentina have adopted precision farming techniques, using tools like drones, satellite imagery, and AI-driven analytics to optimize their yields. These innovations allow them to produce more crops with fewer resources, appealing to markets like China, which increasingly prioritizes efficiency and sustainability. In contrast, many American farmers face barriers to adopting similar technologies. High costs, restrictive intellectual property laws, and limited access to open-source solutions have left many U.S. farmers relying on outdated methods. The right to repair movement highlights these struggles. Farmers in the U.S. often lack the freedom to repair or modify their own machinery, forcing them to rely on expensive, manufacturer-approved services. This adds to their operational costs and reduces their ability to compete globally. The disparity between the US and South America isn't just technological, it's cultural. In South America, collaborative environments between farmers, researchers, and tech developers have fostered innovation. By contrast, US farmers often operate in silos, with less support for adapting to new challenges. And this divide isn't just costing American farmers today, it's threatening their ability to compete in the future. But while technology shapes the battlefield, trade wars are fueling the fire. Trade wars and their collateral damage. In the high-stakes game of trade wars, farmers are often the first casualties. The US-China trade war has been simmering for years, but this latest development marks a turning point. When tariffs and counter-tariffs started flying, agriculture became a central battleground. For China, reducing dependence on US crops wasn't just an economic move, it was a strategic response to escalating tensions. For American farmers, the consequences have been devastating. With their largest buyer gone, they've been left to find new markets, a task easier said than done. Countries like the European Union, which prioritize sustainable and locally sourced food, are unlikely to fill the gap left by China. Meanwhile, South American competitors, armed with government subsidies and advancing agricultural technology, are aggressively pursuing the very markets the US is losing. These nations are strategically aligning themselves with China, solidifying partnerships that could span decades and redefine global agricultural trade. The broader economic impact of these trade wars can't be ignored. Industries like manufacturing and technology are also feeling the strain, creating a ripple effect that touches nearly every sector of the economy. Rural communities, often the hardest hit, are experiencing a cascade of challenges, from reduced farm incomes to shuttered local businesses. And while some policymakers argue that standing up to China is necessary, the cost is being borne disproportionately by rural America, where livelihoods depend on exports. And the irony? These trade wars may be hurting the very industries they were meant to protect. But there's another cost to consider, one that affects not just economies, but ecosystems: the environmental cost. Here's the uncomfortable truth: feeding the world comes at a price, and it's the planet that's paying it. As South America ramps up agricultural production, the environmental toll is becoming impossible to ignore. The Amazon rainforest, often called the lungs of the earth, is being cleared at an alarming rate to make way for farmland. This deforestation contributes to climate change, disrupts ecosystems, and threatens countless species of plants and animals. But it's not just South America. The global push for intensive agriculture has led to soil degradation, water scarcity, and increased greenhouse gas emissions worldwide. For countries like the US, which prides itself on sustainable farming practices, these environmental costs are a stark reminder of the challenges ahead. The ethical dilemma is clear. How can nations balance the need for food security with the need for environmental preservation? For China, which is prioritizing its own stability, the environmental impact of its decisions may seem like a secondary concern. But for the rest of the world, the stakes couldn't be higher. And here's the chilling reality: if we don't find a balance, the long-term costs could outweigh any short-term gains. But while the planet struggles, the human cost of this crisis is becoming painfully clear. Farmers on the brink. Imagine working the same land your family has owned for generations, only to face a crisis that threatens to take it all away. Across America's heartland, the human toll of China's withdrawal is becoming heartbreakingly apparent. For many farmers, this isn't just about losing income, it's about losing identity. Farming is more than a job, it's a way of life. But now, families are being forced to make unthinkable decisions: sell the land, take on crushing debt, or leave farming altogether. The mental health impact is staggering. Rates of anxiety, depression, and even suicide are rising among farmers. The uncertainty of the future, coupled with the immense financial pressure, has created a perfect storm of emotional distress. Rural communities, already underserved in mental health resources, are struggling to address the growing need. Farmers like the Carters in Nebraska are emblematic of this crisis. For generations, their family has cultivated the same 200-acre plot, weathering storms, droughts, and market fluctuations. But this crisis feels different. As they sit around their kitchen table, they face impossible questions. Can they afford to plant next season? Should they sell part of their land? What will happen to their children's future? And yet, even in the face of despair, some farmers are finding ways to adapt and survive. But the ripple effects of this crisis extend far beyond the fields. Small-town America is feeling the strain. Rural communities under pressure. From schools to diners, the lifeblood of small-town America is drying up. The collapse of the farming industry has created a chain reaction in rural communities. Local businesses that rely on farming income, equipment dealers, seed suppliers, and even small-town cafes are seeing their customer base disappear. Equipment dealers are holding on to unsold inventory, seed suppliers are receiving fewer orders, and restaurants that once bustled with optimistic farmers are eerily quiet. The economic void left behind is rippling through every corner of these towns, forcing businesses to cut hours, lay off staff, or shut down entirely. Schools in these communities, funded by property taxes from farms, are preparing for budget cuts. This means fewer resources for students, larger class sizes, and reduced extracurricular programs. For children growing up in these towns, the opportunities once afforded by thriving farms are slipping away, limiting their prospects for a brighter future. Healthcare services are also under threat. Many rural areas depend on revenue generated by the farming community to keep clinics and hospitals open. As farms struggle, so too do the services that ensure these communities stay healthy. This jeopardizes access to essential care, further compounding the challenges these towns face. But beyond the financial strain, there's a deeper emotional impact. The sense of unity and shared purpose that once defined rural America is being tested. Families who've known each other for generations now face the possibility of losing the towns they've called home. The unraveling social fabric is leaving these communities grappling with uncertainty and a loss of identity. And while the cracks are widening, some communities are finding strength in collaboration and innovation. Cooperative ventures and grassroots initiatives offer glimmers of hope, but the question now is, can federal policies help stabilize the heartland before it's too late? The policy debate. Washington is facing a crossroads. Save the farmers or risk losing them forever. The agricultural crisis has become a central issue in political debates, sparking fierce discussions on Capitol Hill. Federal aid programs have been rolled out to provide immediate relief to struggling farmers, but many argue these are merely band-aid solutions. What farmers need, advocates say, is a systemic overhaul of agricultural policies. At the heart of the debate is the U.S. trade relationship with China. Some lawmakers push for a hardline stance, advocating for stronger tariffs and less dependence on foreign markets. Others call for rebuilding the partnership with China, arguing that maintaining economic ties is the only way to stabilize the industry. Now, the right to repair movement has also gained momentum. Farmers are fighting for the ability to repair their own equipment without relying on costly manufacturer services. Legislation supporting this movement could lower costs for farmers and give them greater control over their operations. Another key issue is diversifying export markets. Policymakers are exploring new trade agreements with Europe, Africa, and Asia to reduce dependency on a single buyer like China. Expanding domestic demand for agricultural products is also a priority, with initiatives to promote local food systems and sustainable farming practices. But here's the challenge. While Washington debates, farmers don't have time to wait. And yet, amidst this crisis, some farmers are taking matters into their own hands, adapting to survive. In the face of disaster, American farmers are rewriting the rules of survival. Despite the immense challenges, some farmers are proving their resilience by finding innovative ways to adapt. Diversification has become a key strategy. Instead of relying solely on traditional staples like soybeans and corn, farmers are exploring niche markets such as organic produce, specialty grains, and even agro-tourism. Carlos Mendoza, a farmer in Texas, is a prime example. After losing his primary buyer in China, he pivoted to growing organic quinoa, targeting health-conscious consumers in urban areas. By collaborating with local co-ops and leveraging online marketplaces, Carlos has managed to sustain his farm and even expand his customer base. Technology is also playing a role in this transformation. Farmers are increasingly turning to precision agriculture tools like GPS-guided tractors and real-time soil monitoring systems to reduce costs and improve yields. These technologies, once out of reach for smaller farms, are becoming more accessible through partnerships with universities and local tech companies. Communities are rallying as well. Cooperative models where farmers pool resources and share knowledge are helping reduce costs and increase efficiency. Local governments and nonprofits are stepping in with grants, training programs, and low-interest loans to support innovation and sustainability. These grassroots efforts are proving that even in the darkest times, the spirit of American farming remains unbroken. But what does all of this mean for the future of American agriculture and its role on the global stage? Reclaiming America's agricultural crown. Can America's farmers turn the tide and reclaim their position as global leaders in agriculture? For American farmers to regain their footing, a multi-pronged approach is essential. Diversification is a key part of the solution. The days of relying on one or two major crops and a single export market are over. By shifting focus to a variety of crops, ranging from pulses and specialty grains to high-demand niche products like organic vegetables, farmers can reduce risks and appeal to a broader range of buyers. Federal support will also play a critical role. Incentives for sustainable farming practices, grants for advanced technologies, and subsidies for new crop development could provide the financial cushion farmers need to innovate. This means not just surviving, but thriving in an increasingly competitive global market. Another crucial element is rebuilding international trade relationships. While tensions with China may take years to resolve, diversifying export markets is a way forward. Countries in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East represent untapped opportunities for American agriculture. Partnerships with these regions could offset losses and create long-term stability. And here's the exciting part. By embracing these changes, America's heartland could not only recover, but redefine what it means to be a global agricultural powerhouse. But as farmers adapt, so must the communities that depend on them. Revitalizing rural America. What happens to rural communities when their economic backbone is shaken? They rebuild, but differently. The current crisis is prompting rural America to rethink its foundations. Agriculture will always be the backbone, but relying solely on farming income is proving unsustainable. Communities are exploring alternative industries such as renewable energy and agritourism to diversify their economies. Wind and solar farms are sprouting across the Midwest, bringing jobs and investment to areas traditionally reliant on crop production. These initiatives are more than stopgaps. They're creating long-term economic opportunities while aligning with global trends towards sustainability. Education is also playing a transformative role. Schools in rural areas are introducing programs that teach students about emerging agricultural technologies, sustainability practices, and entrepreneurial skills. Partnerships with local universities and businesses are equipping the next generation with tools to innovate and thrive in a changing economy. Public spaces are being revitalized through community-driven projects. Farmers markets, local art festivals, and cooperative businesses are reinvigorating small towns, fostering a sense of pride and togetherness. And this transformation isn't just about survival, it's about creating thriving communities that can weather future storms. But what does this mean on the global stage? And how will it impact America's role in the world? A new role in global agriculture. Is this the end of America's dominance, or the beginning of a new chapter on the global stage? The shift in global agricultural dynamics has opened doors for other nations, but it has also highlighted opportunities for the US to redefine its role. While countries like Brazil and Argentina are capitalizing on their newfound partnerships with China, the US has the chance to lead in areas that go beyond mere crop production. Sustainability is one such area. American farmers, with support from policymakers and technology developers, are uniquely positioned to set global standards for sustainable farming. Innovations in soil health, water conservation, and regenerative agriculture could make U.S. products more appealing to environmentally conscious consumers worldwide. Another opportunity lies in technology. By investing in precision agriculture and supporting the right to repair movement, the U.S. can empower its farmers to compete more effectively. These innovations not only boost efficiency, but also appeal to markets looking for high-tech, eco-friendly solutions. Global food security is another frontier. By leveraging its resources and expertise, the U.S. can play a pivotal role in addressing hunger and instability in developing regions. This not only strengthens its position as a global leader, but also reinforces its moral standing on the world stage. And here's the kicker. America doesn't just have the chance to compete, it has the chance to lead. But to seize these opportunities, the agricultural industry must first address one crucial challenge: the road ahead. The biggest question isn't whether American agriculture will survive, it's whether it will thrive. The road ahead for American farmers and rural communities will require resilience, innovation, and collaboration. At the heart of this transformation lies a cultural shift, moving away from the old ways of farming and embracing a future that blends tradition with technology. Farmers are increasingly forming cooperatives, pooling resources to reduce costs and improve efficiency. These grassroots efforts are empowering smaller farms to compete with larger operations while maintaining their independence. Local governments and nonprofits are stepping up, providing grants and training programs that focus on sustainable practices. Policy reform is critical. From revisiting trade agreements to addressing intellectual property restrictions, lawmakers have the power to create an environment where farmers can thrive. The right to repair movement is a key example of how small changes can make a big difference, giving farmers the tools they need to innovate and adapt. Finally, the role of consumers cannot be overlooked. By supporting local agriculture, choosing sustainable products, and advocating for fair trade practices, Americans can contribute to the revitalization of their heartland. Because when America's farmers succeed, we all benefit, from the food on our tables to the strength of our communities. So, what does all of this mean for the future of American agriculture? Let's wrap it up. This isn't just about farming, it's about the identity of a nation. America's heartland has faced crises before and emerged stronger, and this time will be no different. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Do you think America's farmers can reclaim their place on the global stage? How should policymakers, communities, and consumers support this transformation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more insights into stories that shape our world. Thanks for watching.